All right, so the Hollywood Reporter says, Jon Stewart says Daily Show return was prompted by wanting to have a place to unload thoughts ahead of the 2024 election. Stewart also weighed in on the changing media landscape and his Apple TV exit before returning to host on Monday nights, the Comedy Central late night show. Good old Jon. Jon Stewart is opening up about his highly anticipated return as host of Comedy Central's The Daily Show nearly 9 years after leaving the nightly gig. Appearing on Monday's CBS mornings before returning as Daily Show host on Mondays through 2024 election, Stewart said it was indeed the political environment that brought him back, while also sharing that the move was influenced by his departure from Apple TV Plus over creative differences. I very much wanted to have someplace to unload thoughts as we get into this election season, Stewart said. Then, referring to the problem with Jon Stewart not moving forward with a third season on the streamer, I thought I was going to do it over at, they call it Apple TV Plus. It's a television enclave, very small. It's like living in Malibu. They felt that they didn't want me to say things that might get me in trouble. So, again, I think two of the things that I understand that were spoken about were China and AI. And I think those two were big things because it's Apple TV that he was on. And of course, Apple is largely made and manufactured and has dealings with China in so many different ways, right? And AI is probably something that they're highly invested in or whatnot. We'll look at another article here real quick, and then we'll get to a little brief video where Jon pretty much opened the show, tearing up a little bit of both sides. Over at Fox News, Keith Olbermann, who, if you don't know who that is, be grateful. Keith Olbermann, liberal commentators fume over Jon Stewart's mockery of Biden and Daily Show return. It's the first time in a while a liberal outlet, because you got to think, all the nighttime shows, right? The late night this and the too late that and the whatever, all the late night shows, all the news media for the most part, and even the Daily Show, I guess you can consider it an evening show, a late show, a night show. All of them just hold the, sack, so to speak, for Joe Biden, and no one ever tears into him or the left in general. It's always going after the right or Trump specifically. And for the first time in a long time, they're hearing it come out of one of their own's mouth. So they didn't like that too much. Stewart, who roasted Trump's myriad legal issues as well, returned to show as host for first time since 2015. We'll just skip on down here. So here's Keith Olbermann's tweet. Well, after 9 years away, there's nothing else to say to the both-sidedest fraud Jon Stewart bashing Biden except please make it another 9 years. Aaron Rupert says Jon Stewart still has it in terms of being funny. I agree. And entertaining. I agree. But the political content of his monologue is basically the New York Times op-ed page in TV form. Both sides are not, in fact, equally bad. Again, it's one of the first times in a long time that they have seen that both sides are bad and both sides have their issues, and that the right isn't the worst thing in the world, and then maybe the guy running on the left has some issues. We're going to see that in just a second, but it's the first time they've been challenged in a while. And again, because it's coming from Jon Stewart, someone who has followed them over to the dark side, to the left, they were not expecting it. It threw them off, and they can't take the slightest bit of criticism because they haven't had to deal with it for so long. So check out this video. This is him opening up the show and maybe a little bit of what they're so mad about.
And the hits kept coming.
Initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
Now, geography buffs might have noticed Gaza and Mexico do not share a border. Biden was referring to Sisi, the president of Egypt, not Mexico. Unless it was even worse than that, and he thinks the president of Mexico is named Si.
Okay, so fair criticism, I think. Trump makes some blunders. I don't have a problem pointing that out. I don't know why it is that people on the left have an issue when you point out problems that Biden has. They're so blind, and we said this, I don't want to say just last week, probably last week and the week before, that they will go after Trump for making one or two blunders and run it on the 24-hour news cycle nonstop. But they will completely ignore the myriad of issues that Biden is having. In fact, we'll get into Bill Maher a little bit later on. We're going to talk about how he's just can't see it. Doesn't think there's anything wrong. But we'll get to that in a minute. So Jon Stewart's back. I'm excited because I think there's hope, right? But what of the last host, the last official, legit host of The Daily Show, Trevor Noah? What's going on with him? Well, according to Radar Online, they're already having podcast problems. Trevor Noah clashing with Spotify about direction of show 3 months after launch. Says Trevor Noah has allegedly grown frustrated with Spotify, with the former late night talk show host and the company's executives clashing about the direction of his new podcast. RadarOnline.com has learned Noah 39 only inked his deal with the company last year. First episode of What Now with Trevor Noah launched on November 9th. Fast forward to 3 months later, and the relationship is already soured. Word on the street is Noah's team has been trying to renegotiate or change his Spotify contract, which sources said worries the streaming giant that he might try to opt out of his minimum guarantee, aka the amount he's paid to deliver an agreed upon number of podcasts. The clash is reportedly over podcast guests. Noah hopes to bring on newsy figures, but Spotify executives want him to stick in his lane and focus on celebrity interviews, according to Semaphore. The ex-Daily Show host spoke about his dream guest, revealing he'd like to bring in an array of talent, not just A-list pals. Look, I'll be real with you. I think it would be exciting to see him, interview some other people. And I say that from a standpoint of I don't think he should, but I think it would be exciting for me because I don't find him funny. And I don't find him politically in tune. So I don't know who he's going to bring on. But if he's not bringing on celebrities who, can act like they're interesting and act like they have something to talk about, I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to pretend with politicians or more newsy people, as he says. I don't even know what that means. But the whole stay in your lane or stick in your lane comment, thought that was pretty good.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.